All right, so let's dive into this training today, okay? Um, how do you know what you actually need in order to heal? Because there's books out there, there's classes, there's all sorts of people who have been through different kinds of grief and they have advice for you, right? And really, sometimes you get advice and you don't even ask for it, right? I mean, again, I can remember that all too well after I had an empty nest. And at the same time was also dealing with a mom who had Alzheimer's. So, you want to feel better so desperately. It's so important, it affects you every day, every minute of the day. So you really want to feel better. And you've tried, honestly, many of you probably have tried to follow the advice of some of these well-meaning people in your life, okay? And you've probably heard all sorts of suggestions. Oh my gosh, some of them are really out there and some of them work for people and aren't so out there, but it's not necessarily your golden ticket, right? Because I'll tell you why in a moment. You've probably heard, oh, go buy yourself some flowers each week, something special for you. And then you're just left looking at some beautiful flowers, wishing that whoever you're missing or whatever isn't there was there with you to enjoy it. And then you've probably heard things like, if you're an empty nest mom, maybe your children have all moved out, maybe you've just launched your first child off to college, and people will have all kinds of advice, like don't text them at all. Just go cold turkey. Don't text them. Don't reach out in any way. Let them live their life. And, maybe that worked for them. That certainly didn't work for me. But I will tell you is choosing that because it worked for someone else could very well leave you feeling extremely anxious. So now not only are you grieving the empty nest, but you're also super anxious because you're not following what you should be doing. Okay? And then this is a very common one. Again, is something that I tried at some point during my grief journey, is to keep yourself super busy. Okay. So like distraction, right? Keep yourself super busy so you don't have time to feel sad. Okay, well, ladies, we know that doesn't work because what will happen is, and I've had clients come to me feeling exhausted because they've tried so many things, they've kept themselves so busy, and all it does is leaves you exhausted and still feeling sad, still no different in terms of your healing. And really what happens too is then that one moment that you have to yourself after being so busy, well, I'll tell you 9 times out of 10, that is when the grief will pop into your life. That moment of space that you have. Grief just waits for you to not be busy, ironically. So by listening to all this advice, maybe you've felt more sad about this, more exhausted, more anxious, and really what it can do is leave you feeling like no one really gets you. Okay, and we don't want to be in that space. Grief is heavy enough, but to feel misunderstood makes it more difficult. In fact, we can often feel like our husbands, our partners, and other family members, even best friends, just don't understand our emotions. I know, again, I keep giving myself an example, but I've heard it also from my clients that a lot of times, for instance, with an empty nest, husbands, partners don't experience that transition the same way. So they don't understand the grief that you feel. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that that's going to leave you feeling a little bit more isolated. Okay, so what to do? Well, I think, first of all, the problem is that most people are giving you advice because they are trying to support you. They care about you, most of them, right? And they're choosing what worked for them. And then you feel misunderstood and you're still searching for a solution because none of it seems to work as effectively as it maybe did for somebody else, okay? The truth is, though, guys, this is the truth, that no two people grieve and heal the same way, okay? You just can't compare one person's healing solutions to another person's healing solutions, okay? If you are watching this and you're an empty nester. Well, think about it. Nobody else has the relationship that you do with your son or daughter who's at school, okay, or who's off working across the other side of the country. No one else has that relationship. Even your partner doesn't. Your grief is unique, okay? So, you know, that the advice that your neighbor or coworker gave you, it's not, or even your best friend, it's not your golden ticket, because no grief is the same, okay? The game-changing information here is that your grief is just like your thumbprint, okay? I was about to do this. It's just like your thumbprint, okay? It is a uniquely personal experience. And therefore, how you heal, okay, what you choose is also unique, okay? So now here is where I'm going to share a secret with you. The healing strategies that you choose have everything to do with one extremely wise and dependable thing, okay? Now, if you've seen some of my posts over the past couple of weeks leading up to this, you know the answer to this already. The answer is that wise and dependable thing is your intuition, okay? Not a surprise, right? Or maybe it is. Your inner voice. That is what is going to guide you in your healing plan. Intuition is actually accessible to all of us. We just forget. We forget to use it, or we don't listen to it. We listen to everyone else. It gets noisy, and we just forget to tune in, okay? So believe it or not, this may come as a surprise to you, but you actually have all the answers to your grief already, to your grief plan. You actually already know on some level what you need to heal. Your intuition knows. Your conscious mind may not know, but your intuition knows, okay? There's something very soulful about intuition, and that is why I incorporate it into working with my clients. So how do we get to our intuitive answers and jumpstart your grief transformation? How do we do that? Okay, so basically we need three things, okay? We need intentionality, it takes practice, and thirdly, it takes trust in ourselves, okay? So connecting with your intuitive voice is like working a muscle. With intentionality, practice, and self-trust, we strengthen the connection we have to our inner knowing so that we can make good choices about how to heal, okay? So for example, I've given swimming examples before because I've been a lifelong, well, almost lifelong swimmer, competitive swimmer in college, and a master's team, national team after college. And so let me give you a little example here about intuition and how this can look like training. If I were to go to my master's practice once a week for the next 3 months, okay, and then enter into our Thanksgiving turkey swim, okay, I'm probably not going to be very prepared at once a week. If you know anything about swimming, it's very aerobic. You don't gain aerobic strength or muscle strength or speed once a week, okay? I mean, it just doesn't happen. I'm probably not going to do very well and be off my times, and I'm probably going to feel miserable in the water, okay? So if I train 4 times a week, and maybe even throw in a weekend practice now and then, okay? So like 4 to 5 times a week for the next 3 months. Okay, I've just quadrupled the amount of time that I'm going to spend training, and I very well may get a season best time, maybe a lifetime best time, and I'm going to feel good in the water, okay? So when we are practicing using intuition, we have to have that same kind of commitment. We have to have regular practice with it. We have to find regular times to tune into the quiet to listen to what we know we need. okay? And then sprinkle in self-trust as well. And that intentionality is the commitment, okay? Practice intentionality, okay? So just like swimming, we have to do it regularly. We can't just do it now and then when we're really struggling. Oh, well, let me just sit for a quiet moment. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so when I work with my clients on a unique and personal healing plan, because that's one of the first things we have to do, okay, what I do is I work on connecting them to their intuition while we go through this 7-step plan, okay? This is what I call my curious intuitive quest. It's actually quite a fun thing to do in my program. So this curious intuitive quest, we have to trust ourselves, embrace healing strategies designed for you, okay? Just for you. And we go through this in 7 different areas, which I call my tailored hope strategy, okay? So I have this plan, it has 7 components to it, and we weave in intuition in there. So how do I do that with people? How do I just teach them, about intuition? Well, we do this through a series of questions, okay? We do this through a series of questions, followed by reflection, and followed by feedback, okay? So this is the process involved in the Curious Intuitive Quest. You connect, I work with them, we connect to your intuition so that you know exactly what to choose for you while tuning out all the stuff that everybody's been telling you to do, okay? And finally finding something or some things that work for you and really jumpstart your hope. We have to have hope to get to that other side of grief, okay? That's the very first thing, okay? So this intuitive plan is how we ignite that sense of hope so that you can confidently, compassionately navigate those big waves of emotion that we get when we're feeling grief, okay? And then if you're able to do that confidently and compassionately and get through those waves, then you can actually begin to see a better future for yourself. Do you see how it's a step-by-step process? So hope is the actual first pillar of 3 pillars in my grief breakthrough methodology, which is that's the soul of how I help people heal. Okay, let me give you an example really quick just to illustrate this. I have a client, Emma, or I should say had a client, Emma, and she was trying to cope with grief. It was coming from 2 different places in her life. Her mother has had a long illness, and it was definitely coming to more of a serious place when she came to me. And she was also an empty nester. She had launched somebody, her youngest off to college. So she was dealing with ambiguous grief in 2 different areas of her life, okay? The good thing is she was extremely motivated, okay? She was extremely motivated to find some peace about this loss. And by the time she came to me, she had tried so many strategies that she was somewhat exhausted and still feeling the heaviness from her grief. Okay. Nothing seemed to change. I mean, she was keeping busy, trying different things, and still feeling the heaviness of grief and just feeling tired. Okay. She told me she had tried getting into fitness classes. She had tried a trainer, a personal trainer. She went to the gym regularly. She also squeezed in some yoga classes because we all know how good yoga can feel. And she was keeping herself busy with lunch dates with friends and really pouring herself into her work. And she kept hearing, keep yourself busy. Your grief will pass. Well, unfortunately, the only thing that happened for her was that she had exhausted herself. Okay? And you know what? Her grief just waited, like I told you before. It just waited for those quiet moments when she would sit down at the end of her day with her cup of tea on her couch after being so busy, and the grief would just land on her like a weight on her shoulders, okay? Her grief still showed up just as strong, and now she had to try to cope with it being in an exhausted state, okay? So you see where I'm going with this. That doesn't work for everybody, all right? If someone else's strategy Emma had heard this from other people. Distract yourself, stay busy. And that was not her golden ticket. In fact, she had taken a little bit of a step backwards as a result. So what I did with her, once we started working together, the first thing we did was to create an intuitive and guided healing plan for her in the seven steps that I mentioned before. Okay, this is where my curious, intuitive quest began to help her truly heal, because she began to tune in to what she needed through a series of questions and reflection and feedback to begin to trust herself. And she really began to support her entire grief transformation at that point. Okay, she was able to slow down, choose what made sense. And when I say sense, I mean her intuition. Choose what made sense to help her heal and cope each day. I mean, this is something that you do regularly, okay? And ultimately, it strengthened her healing process for her, and she was able to move on to the second and third pillars of my program. So, again, this is all part of the first pillar when I work with people, the pillar of igniting hope in my grief breakthrough methodology, okay? So, ladies, after decades, truly, of helping women through ambiguous grief, and through my own personal experiences with ambiguous grief, I truly understand what's needed to transform your loss, okay? I stand behind my grief breakthrough methodology. This is what I do. It's my why. It is how I help people. And when I work with clients using this results-driven approach, because I do get results and it's beautiful, it really is, I guide them through 3 critical steps. Okay, and this is I'm going to break down my methodology for you. Okay, step 1 we talked about, which is igniting hope, where I guide your intuition, and we come up with a 7-step healing plan. Okay, in my tailored hope strategy, and this helps you navigate those big emotions that can hit you in an unpredictable way and in a big way, and it gives you more confidence so that you can actually begin to see your future and make some plans. You can begin to feel lighter. Okay. Step 2, or pillar 2, I should say, is emotional liberation. And this one is truly a pivotal pillar in that we are working on letting go. And it's great to say, oh yeah, I know you need to let go so you can move on. But I actually tell you and work with you on how to let go. You know, it's not enough to say you need to let go, right? We have to understand how to do that, right? And so this pillar, emotional liberation, really gets women to feel that sweetness of relief when they've let go of guilt, anger, regret, worry, fear, all those icky feelings that keep us stuck in our grief process, okay? They feel that sweetness of relief and they begin to see life through a new lens. Again, a beautiful thing, and makes my work so rewarding. And then step 3 is embodying resilience, okay? This is the key to finally putting grief in your rearview mirror. It's building a life around your loss, okay? It allows my clients the space and freedom to expand, okay? They're not contracted anymore. They're expanding and thriving. It's really the secret to connecting to a new purpose in your life, because you have to find that new purpose, okay? Remember, again, we grow bigger around our grief, okay? That's what healing looks like, okay? So my grief breakthrough methodology, it practically guarantees that your grief transformation is going to happen faster, you're going to be less exhausted, and with better results, because it's based on your intuition as the foundation to your healing, okay? So you've heard this now. If you're ready, I'd love to invite you to book a grief breakthrough strategy call with me. And let me tell you what that looks like. Okay, it's complimentary, 20 to 30 minutes, and this is what we'll do. We're going to look at 3 different things. Where are you now in your healing journey? And where would you like to be in about 6 months? Okay, because we want to get results, right? And two, what have you tried so far? That's very important to me to understand what you've already tried. Okay. And number three, I walk you through how my methodology can apply to your unique situation. Okay, and it is unique. Remember, it's like a thumbprint, so it's going to look different for everybody. But I walk you through how it applies to you. Okay, so I will include a calendar link to my grief transformation call, my grief breakthrough strategy call for you in the replay, which I will post later in a little while after this. It's been a true pleasure to connect with you guys once again. And if you would like the replay, please go ahead now and write replay, and I will send you a personal link to that, which is kind of a little bit nicer to get it that way. I add a few things to it. So if you would like your personal link, or actually if you're even listening to this on the replay and you'd like your own personal link that you can keep and listen to, I just go ahead and put replay in there, and actually do hashtag replay, which helps me find it. Okay, all right, ladies, well, have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will be back soon with another live in a few weeks. Take care.